LB Reefing, and this is a quick video on how we clean the reef tank and how we're going to clean the canister filter, which is something that people have asked me before. How do I manage to clean it and not let it get full of gross stuff? So this is how we do it. This is the equipment that we have. We have this makeshift vacuum. Now what it does is it basically has a long handle on it, and that allows me to get it to the bottom of the tank without sticking my whole hand in the tank. I'm also able to get the suction end of it underneath the rocks without like having to shift too many things around. Before we start anything, we have to switch off the canister filter and we switch off the ATO, which I've forgotten to do a couple of times and then really overfilled my tank with too much water. So how that works is just unplugging the USB pump for the ATO, and the canister filter is this one here. So we leave the MP10 running. That helps with the circulation for the corals, but basically this is what the situation is now. We also try and do it kind of quickly because the tang really doesn't like the hands in the tank. It gets a bit scared and freaked out. So we'll quickly do that, and then we'll go and show you how we do the canister filter. So also put a towel down because water always ends up everywhere. There's no doubt about that. I've already got some salt water mixing on the other side of the house, about 10 liters or so. That's about all we'll really need. We don't take out too much. Okay, so that goes in here, and then we start to soften like that. Right. And just basically getting all the stuff out the bottom of the tank like this. So right underneath, this is able to get underneath the rocks and all the way around, and just sucking out most of what's left over. We don't go and get everything out. I think it's unnecessary to try and get all of it. We just want to get the most of it. It's kind of leftover food that wasn't eaten, basically some fish poo and that sort of thing. Also coral poo, I guess, to a certain degree. And we don't move too much. I'm not that fussed about moving everything and getting it all out, because at the end of the day, I'm going to feed this tank in about 10 minutes anyway, and it's just going to be filled up with rubbish again. So really just trying to ensure that we don't bump too many things, irritate too many things, and also not overfill the bucket at the bottom here, because we need to only remove enough water, because I'm only making about 12 liters. So that's about as much as I'll take out from the bottom, and that's the vacuuming of the bottom done. So it's much easier in my opinion than doing a sand bed. I don't have to keep it completely clean underneath, and also I don't have to do any like you know how you pull it up and let it fall. It's a bit irritating. All right, so now we move over to the canister. We got to first get this stuff out the way. So we move this, and then we get the plants out, and then we lift the whole canister off the ground. Now around the side here, the canister and the dosing containers are down there. So around the side here, basically all we do is we pop this up like that, just for the sake of water spilling everywhere, and we turn these taps off. So we've got these quick release EHAN things, so we basically just turn those into the off position like that, and it's actually easier to do it when it's up. So we lift the whole canister up onto the top here like that, right? So already that's not too difficult, and we take these off here and here, turn them off, and then just a simple case of twisting it so that you can disconnect it. These are the quick release things. I still had them. This canister was left over from a freshwater tank. Disconnect it, dry it up so that no water flies everywhere. Sometimes it slides down or whatever. And then this one, we disconnect here and remove it from it like that. All right, so this is, I don't know how long this has taken, maybe 3 minutes or so, I'm not sure. And that's this part. Now, in order to get this out without having to move it, because obviously this is plugged in. So if you just remove the top of the canister filter, now water splashes everywhere. So the best way to do it that I've learned from trying to do this the fastest way possible is to have this in such a way that you hold like that, turn the canister filter so that it's pointing into the bucket, open the top one, because right now you shouldn't have any water coming out the top. And then as you open the bottom one, you should start emptying the canister filter into the bucket. And that basically does, at the same time, a little bit of a water change, as well as getting out some of the gross stuff off the bottom. remembering that we're going to change all the water from the canister filter anyway. So We do like that. Now, you don't have to empty all of it because we're going to actually tipple the whole thing over. That was just to ensure that when we lift the top off, water doesn't splash everywhere. So that's the first little bit done. Now we unclip the canister like this, and it should come off without any real issue. Oh, hang on, you've got to release some air. And then it comes off like that. Now there's no water everywhere. So now we can just leave that there for the whole duration of the thing, and this is now completely mobile. So we pour everything out like that, right? And then remove the entire canister out like that and put it in there like that, right? This here also has a bit of junk at the bottom of it, so we give it a bit of a rinse around and pour it out. And what I'll do maybe once a month is, or once every 2 weeks, is I'll just like wipe that out or rinse it with some water. I'm not doing that now because I just did it like a week ago, and I do this every week. So we then move the whole process over to the kitchen counter, which is the best place to work on your reef tank. And we lift this up like that. And then what we do is, actually I'll put it like this now so we can see it properly, like that. And then we open up this section. So by opening this, you'll see what's inside here. If I can grab it. Stuck today. There you go. There you go. So here we've got the filter bag that has the carbon in it. We'll change the carbon. I do that every week. And this is all the marine pure balls. So I usually just dump them all out into the water completely. So they're all underneath there. I give the inside of this bad boy a rinse. Now this is where there are bristle worms and a whole bunch of other horrible things on the inside here, so you probably should protect your hands. I don't. I've been stung a few times by bristle worms, then I regret it every time. But anyway, I do this. So that's rinsed like that. Now that's clean, and put it there. This one here gets a bit of a rinse and a wipe down with your hands. So now the canister top part is done, right? And we put like that. And then here is all the carbon. But we're not going to take anything out of the carbon yet, because first we just jiggle the balls and everything around at the bottom. Jiggle the balls. We jiggle the balls around at the bottom like this, just to try and get as much junk out as you can. And you can sort of see how it's mucking up the water. So we know that it's just basically getting a lot of the detritus that might be caught up in amongst these things like that. Now you can see we've got some square ones, we've got some round ones, but we're just going to put them back in the container. So this is where I actually should have fetched this one. Give me a second. I'll get this one back. But it's easier and makes less mix if you just put it all back straight in like this. So we've now got that one. That goes in there. And then we just start putting them back in. Now the way we do it is, in order for them to fit properly, we put the square ones in first, and you can find them. Go. The square ones go. And then the round ones go on top of the square ones because they like kind of fall in down around the sides. There's quite a lot of biological media in here, as you can tell. Like for such a small tank, it's only 150 liters. I've got like a whack load of this stuff in there. And what it does is it means that I can chuck a lot of food in, which I do, like lots and lots of food for a tank this size. And I don't really have to worry. I mean, my nitrates is 0.75, and I put what I would say is the equivalent of like a full frozen fish block every single day, as well as feeding the LPS pellets and chucking in some seaweed every now and again for the tank. He's not quite sure what the seaweed is yet, I don't know why, but anyway. So we're almost done with putting these biological balls back in. So there we have those done. Now it's a case of changing the carbon out. So how we do that, because this water is all gross and it's just gonna go in the down the toilet anyway, I just empty the carbon directly into the bucket. So I just open this up, chuck the carbon in, and then fill it up again with some new carbon. I just use the Red Sea Reef Spec one. It does, you're probably supposed to rinse it. I've never really had any issue not rinsing it, so I don't. But again, it's up to you. If you want to rinse it, you probably should. Some people say that the carbon fines that come off it are bad for the corals and some fish, but I don't know, maybe it is. So once it's open like that, there's also like always stuff in here, like little bristleworms and copepods and a whole bunch of weird stuff that are in the amphipods, should I say. So this is it. You just empty out all of the carbon out of the bag. Now it's ready for some more. All you do is dry your hand nicely on your t-shirt like that. You pick this up. Oh, there's some plastic things in there. And then this other bag, which I could probably use at some point. But we just take like this. And I also don't really measure it. I probably should, but I just do like about that much. Not a big tank, just like that. Close the bag up, and then however you want to tie it up is up to you. So I normally just do like just the normal bow on the top, there, like that. And then we just fold it over so that all the little strings are in the middle of it. And just for safety's sake, just give it a little small squeeze in this water here, just to get whatever might be out. Then it takes that shape there, like that. And this thing just goes pop right on the top. Now we have this one that will go back on top of the inside canister. If I can get it out. There we go, just like that. And once it's done, the canister filter is considered to be cleaned for this week. And I think it takes, I'd say maybe under 10 minutes. I'm not sure what the video time is on now, but it doesn't take that long. So apparently I've just been told by my trusty camera person that it's 12 minutes, so I apologize for lying. Now we go back this way. I've put the lights on, it's got a bit dark now. And then we have it like that, right? Oh, the other thing that we can do, which I haven't done now, is actually refill this with fresh water, which I've got here. So let me get it real quick, because that helps to prime the canister filter so that you don't end up having to like suction on it yourself with your mouth, which can be pretty disgusting. All right, so this goes there like that. So this is fresh salt water that's been mixing for about an hour. And all we do is we've got everything sealed up. So we just pour a little bit in here, like maybe 3/4 worth, just so that it will initiate its own like siphon without me having to suck on one of the ends, which is, like I said, not very nice. Just until it gets to the top, just like that. There you go. Now, the lid goes back on, making sure that we orientate the two ends together so that both things are pointing in the same direction. That makes it a little bit easier when we're connecting everything else on top. So there we have this one on top, click, 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 and click. Now we check which one goes with which. So this one is the going, let's see, that one. This one is the bottom, tightens like that. This one goes, does it? Yes, this one goes on top, like that. And then we keep it open now, and you open all of these, and then what should happen is, what we do, drop it back down onto the ground, flick the switch on, and everything should go back to the way it was. Obviously the tank is going to be a little bit empty because it is being siphoned, but that's going to sit like that. And then we open here, plug this back in, and there we have it. Canister filter changed. Now all I do is I take this little bit of water and chuck it in here until it gets back up to the normal level of the tank, where the tank normally is, which is around about, I'm not very scientific here. You can see how it's kicking up a lot of detritus that I haven't vacuumed. So you kind of think, well, what was the point of doing all this? The point of doing this for me is more to clean the canister filter than it is to clean up the detritus in the tank. But I think that's pretty much done. Maybe 15 minutes or so, and water change done, canister filter cleaned in. I do that once a week, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it enlightening, and yeah, keep watching. Thanks.